Also on YouTube, this is 8wheelskate, and today I'm going to give you a video on how to take your wheels off and take your bearings out just to give them a little bit of a clean. This is especially useful if you've taken your skates outside and they're muddy and they're wet and gritty and just overall dirty. So, to get the wheel off, you want to unscrew this nut here. I've got a skate tool for this, but what the skate tool is, basically, is a 13mm socket for the wheel nut and a 14mm socket for the trucks on the bottom. So let's get this off a minute. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. That can go there. Carefully lift the wheel off because you don't want to lose these washers here. I've got washers on the front and the back of my wheels. Some skates just have them on the back here like that. If you don't have a bearing remover tool, which I don't have to hand myself at the minute, you can put the axle inside this first bearing here and give it a little bit of a wiggle about. And it should, there we go. So that's the bearing spacer, which goes in between the front bearing and the back bearing here. Don't lose that either. Just pop out this other bearing a minute. Oh, there we go. And you can use the axle again for that one if you want. And yeah, if your bearings are dirty, just get a towel, rub them off. Like I say, today's video is just going to be simple. Take it apart and give it a quick clean, because what you could do is take the bearings apart, degrease them, re-grease them, put them back together, but that's a video for another time. And just make sure, you know, all your little components are nice and clean as well. That's alright. Okay. So, put your spacer back on first if you have two or just one on the back. Pop in your bearing like so. Pop in the bearing spacer and the other bearing. Like, there we go. When you go to put the wheel back on, make sure the spacer in there is lined up so the axle will go straight through. Just give it a little wiggle. There we go. Pop that on. Pop that back on. Screw that back up. And what I do is I screw it up until I feel a little bit of tension about there. Right, so that's too tight now. You don't. If this is too tight, it'll pinch your bearings together and your wheel won't roll. So give it a little bit of a loosen off. That's a bit better. You want a tiny little bit of rock in the wheel, not a lot, just a tiny little bit, so then it will roll. Okay, I think that's it for today's video. I'll just show you with the trucks, for those of you that don't know, to loosen and tighten them, again with the skate tool or with the 14mm socket, you can pop it on there, turn it to the left to loosen it, turn it to the right to tighten it. And basically what that does is, if you've got looser trucks, means these wheels will move side to side easier. If you've got tighter trucks, means they won't move as easy. Looser trucks is good for if you haven't got much body weight, say if you're a small child or you're quite an athletic build like me. Tight trucks are good for more speed because there's you lose less of the push that you put in through this pivot on the trucks like that. So yeah, I think that's it for today. And don't forget, less hating, more skating. Ciao for now.